Hi, I'm introducing John Gentry. He was born in the northwest of the United States and is now living in Southern California. John is reading a poem called Asotin Creek.
Asotin Creek. In Washington the waters flow and creeks and rivers swift and slow. Some run west to reach the sea, and some to the east, more leisurely, are fed by rains and mountain snow, and swell the rivers of Idaho. And one for which these lines I make, not fed by sea or mountain lake, empties into the river Snake, and is Asotin Creek. In length of miles a score and 10, in length of ages, God knows when. Flowing up from the west and south, a small town spreads across its mouth. Named for the creek that feeds the snake, Asotin, for the Nez Perce sake. Herein describe that you may know just how this rushing streamlet's flow has watered lives and made them grow along Asotin Creek. Now the creek begins a narrow band from springs that well in cloverland, and as it grows in breadth descends and channels out to banks and bends, where eels rife in Indian times flourish in those early climes. Eels, the Nez Perce Asotin, vanished now but teeming then, a bounty for the Indian along Asotin Creek. On either side the creek bed lie farms and pastures watered by its rapids, tumbling north and east, drawing farm and woodland beast to come at will to crop and drink, leaving footprints at the brink, an inventory where they stood beside the waters cool and good, underneath the cottonwoods along Asotin Creek. Now turning back the clock a span, the Gordons there a sheepfold ran. Their daughter Ruth, so bright and fair, rode to school and Babe the mare. 14 miles through the snow, uphill both ways, she told me so. From Cottonwood she married Lee and raised 3 children at her knee, which is how I came to be along Asotin Creek. It is no secret from the world that rushing waters have unfurled from old a magic that attracts both beasts and boys to cataracts. 2 boys there were, and I was one, who knew that spell of stream and sun. We carved our marks on an alder tree, a D for Dick and a J for me, and hardly a care in the world had we along Asotin Creek. We stripped and threw our togs in a heap and dove where the water was dark and deep, and splashed and drank where ripples ran in shallows on the speckled sand. We rifled sidearm below the hip, rocks to make them skim and skip. I made 3 skips, but never more. Dick holds the record, he skipped 4. But we never really kept any score along Asotin Creek. Nature was not always kind. Thistles seemed to have a mind to leave their marks on arms and thighs, and stones to never sympathize. Yet we endured the nettle's pain and wore the welts with proud disdain, like battle scars of an Indian war. They made us tougher than before, and dull this morning somewhat more along Asotin Creek. We armed ourselves like valiant men, with swords of wood and guns of tin, and with an oath set out to seek dragons up and down that creek. But the only dragons that we slew were dragonflies, fly-winged and blue. With a stick I whacked at one and wrecked its wings in foolish fun, but after loathed what I had done along Asotin Creek. The old creek road was a washboard then, scoured from rock by the sweat of men. Along the creek ran the hard road bed to every sheep and cattle spread, and with that roadway ever since, cattle guards and barbed wire fence. It follows the course of the waterway past barns and fields of baled hay, just as it did but yesterday along Asotin Creek. Close by the road and flour mill, and through the park the water still rushed merrily as in a dream to merge at last the river stream. And I sometimes think, what if, in their long canoe or skiff, Sacagawea with Lewis and Clark had paddled by it in the dark, and on their maps had left no mark of Asotin Creek? Then where would be that tide of thanks as offered now along the banks, for the water rushing over stones, and who would hear those treble tones that deepen as the distance grows between the listener and where it flows? or learn the music in its wake that only water on stones can make. And man and beast must not forsake along Asotin Creek.